So you try wholesaling real estate, but you're struggling. You ain't getting no deals. You can't find your next deal. Well, I spent a long time, actually about 8 years, trying to get started in real estate, just watching videos like this, trying to figure it out. Never was able to really figure it out until I read the book, If You Can't Wholesale to This, I Got Nothing For You, where it talks about reverse wholesaling. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to break that process down. We're going to show you how you need to be going out here, reverse wholesaling and doing deals. And this is a 100% guaranteed way to get started wholesaling real estate for sure. It's bulletproof. It works 100% of the time. If you follow the steps, it works 100% of the time. It's bulletproof. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And if you stay tuned toward the end, we'll talk about deals that we're doing. We'll talk about, ways that you can allow us to help you get started, hold your hand, and all the other good stuff through the process. So let's go. Let's bring in our guy, my guy, the myth, the legend, the cleaner, the closer, the cold calling, closing killer, Cordero.
Yo, man, can you hear me? Can you hear me good?
Yeah, we got you. We got you. You in there, man. You in there like swimwear.
Duh, like swimwear, dude. This is a fundamental Friday, and we're
Fun.
going to break down the fundamentals of reverse wholesaling, right?
There we go. Yep.
We're going to break down what you need to know on reverse wholesaling. We talked a lot, especially this week, but we just in general on the channel, we talked a lot about why it's so important, some of the benefits of reverse wholesaling as opposed to, well, let me just get my deal and pray and wish on a star to get it off. We're going to talk about, fundamentals on how to do that and really fill y'all in and make sure y'all can just like actually catch a break, dude. I know some of y'all as hustlers, some of y'all are you want to do this, but you don't understand the level of hard work and discipline that it takes to do it.
There
Some
you
of
go.
you, on the other hand, but there are other people who understand that it's going to take hard work and sheer discipline and grit, but they don't know what they're doing. And so they think I'm going to keep beating my head up against the wall. And that's just what it takes to win is beating my head up against the wall. And it's working smart. My pops used to tell me, he says, it's about working smarter, not harder. But it's both. Because
Yeah.
some people think you just got to work harder. Some people think you just got to be smarter, but they're not willing to put the hard work in. It's both, really. I think so. What do you
Yeah.
think? Is it working smarter or harder?
Yeah, you gotta do both, man. You definitely gotta do both. Um,
Yeah.
and I'm telling you, man, this what we talking about reverse wholesaling, man. If you've tried to wholesale like I've tried to wholesale, this this is light years easier. I really stumbled into it, and that's how I actually really got my first deal. And since then, I did a couple more deals, and now I look back like, man, okay, how did I get those deals? Oh, I did this first, right? So you know, I just talk from experience. That's another thing. It's like while we're on here, the reason that y'all should listen to us is because I've done over 100 deals. Cordero's done almost 100 deals, and we're speaking from experience as people who not have just done them in the past. This is what we do day in, day out. We're wholesaling real estate. We're closing on deals. We're putting properties under contract. We're talking to sellers. We're not telling you something that we theorized or hypothetically or maybe maybe this we talking about this is no doubt bulletproof. And if you listen to our approach and what we're saying, it makes obvious sense. It's so obvious. It's so crystal clear, and it's based on hardcore facts, right? It's right there in front of you.
Yes,
So,
sir.
um, I think the first
So
thing.
tell us,
Go
Now I
ahead.
was gonna say, man, what is, as opposed to the traditional or the usual way that you hear about, what is reverse wholesaling?
So let's talk first about the traditional way that most people talk about, and that is look for ugly houses. Go out here and look for ugly houses. You find an ugly house, you get a sell, talk to the seller, you get them under contract at a discount, and then you go find a buyer somewhere and you put them under contract, and then you that's a wholesale deal. Like that's the traditional route. What we're telling you is don't go around trying to find ugly houses because the house is not what it's about, right? It's not about finding an ugly house. It's about
Yeah,
finding a seller in an ugly situation. Right? It's about finding a motivated seller. Now, the reason they say find an ugly house, because usually if people are not keeping up their house, then that's an indication that something might be wrong, right? So that's why they're telling you to do that. But what we're telling you is don't go trying to find an ugly house or go out there and try to aim after that seller. Go and find the people with the money, right? Go find the people who are buying these type of houses first or buying any type of property, right? You can do this if you're trying to do commercial, you're trying to do land, you're trying to do, single family. Go find the people who are buying the stuff, right? Because the people that are buying the stuff know all the answers, right? They know all the answers, that you're going to have to answer to the seller about, right? Not only do they know all the answers, they know what they are looking for, right?
yeah,
They know what they're looking for. So when you're going out there, it's like, oh, is that a good property to wholesale? Is this a good property? You ain't got that question because you've already connected with the people with money, with the cash buyer, and they're telling you, hey, this is what I'm looking for, right? You're asking the questions to understand what they're looking for. You made that connection, and if you have a question about what they're looking for, you can ask them, hey, is this what you're looking for? It's like building that relationship with the people that are looking for property is a big, big thing. And I think that's the first step in this reverse wholesaling. So reverse wholesaling is finding that buyer, seeing what they're looking for, searching for properties that they're looking for, and then working with that buyer to get an offer on that property. And that's when you are going to create a gap between what the buyer is offering and what you're offering the seller. And then you get that seller in the contract, obviously get the buyer in the contract, and that's the reverse wholesale deal. So that's the difference between the two. The regular wholesale says find the seller first. The reverse says find the buyer first, right? And the buyer will lead you to the seller. The
yeah,
traditional wholesale says find the seller first, and the seller will lead you to buyers, right? But we'll talk today about the benefits of the reverse wholesale and why you should be doing it.
yeah, man. And I made this mention earlier this week, but when you're thinking about comparing the two, doesn't reverse wholesaling sound like an actual business model, right? Doesn't it sound like something that you can actually build a foundation on and grow your business? And ultimately, I think you got to ask yourself in the beginning, dude, do you just want to do a wholesale deal? Or do you want to learn how to wholesale so that way you can do this forever? Once you learn how to do this is something you can do forever. And
Yeah.
if you're saying I want to do consistent deals, then what you're actually saying is I want to build a business, a wholesale business. So I would compare that. That's like the regular the reverse wholesaling model is like if you came into you pull up to my mechanic shop and I'm at the front desk and I'm saying and you saying, hey, this is going on with my car, man. I'm having a problem with my transmission, this and that, and this is the issue, man, and this is the issue. And I'm saying, well, what it is we actually, I am not a mechanic. I work with a group of mechanics, actually a network of mechanics. And what that allows us to do, it benefits you because if you go into any random mechanic shop up and down a busy street and say I have a transmission issue, then you just get the mechanics, that one of the three mechanics that they got in their shop, And if they can fix it, they're like, yeah, I know how to do transmissions. I mean, I'm a mechanic. But we work with the network. So what we can do is we can put you with the best transmission guy, not the mechanic that does all things. We can put you, if you have a transmission issue, we can solve your problem by putting you with the mechanic that is the best at transmission. If
That,
you have an
yeah,
issue with a
specifically for
gasket,
your issue too. You know what I'm saying?
right?
That you may be driving a truck. Truck transmission is gonna be different than a, I don't know, Hellcat or, Kia
Yeah,
Soul or, what
yeah,
I'm saying, a 18-wheeler transmission. Because we work with a network, we able to look and see and say, okay, this is gonna be the best situation for this person. You see what I'm saying? Like that's special too.
yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And essentially, that's what it is. And so, as opposed to somebody coming in, I'm still not a mechanic. You say, man, I got something wrong with my transmission. And all I'm trying to do is figure out how I can convince you to pay me $1,000 because I know a mechanic will do it for 800, and I'm just trying to pocket the extra 200. I don't care about your situation. I don't care about getting your problem solved. I don't care if your job gets done or not. I just care about that $200 difference. And I'm lying to you, posing as if I'm the mechanic. And I'm like, oh yeah, you got a transmission? That's the carburetor that need to actually be fixed. And then you put the carburetor on there, and and I'm sitting there lying to you. I don't know what I'm doing, and I could be getting myself in a situation because if you say you got a transmission issue and you're explaining it, I could be trying to say, well, actually, it's this or that or this or that. It's going to be about 1,000, just because I'm hoping that a mechanic will turn around and do it for 800, and I can pocket the other two. That's not a real sound business model. That's a dude in a back alley, right? And so one of them sounds like an actual business, and the other one sounds like a scam artist, essentially. And I think we always highlight the benefits of reverse wholesaling, but let's talk about people who's telling you get on the phones and spend time in a dialer and spending all your money lying to people, spend all your time lying to people. You can probably get lucky, but I'm not going to send you out there doing something that I wouldn't feel confident doing myself or that I wouldn't be able to fully stand behind. This is a model that's like you can build a business around it. And as a matter of fact, let's be real, Byron, if you had an issue with your car and you pulled up to a mechanic shop and the guy you was talking to said, hey man, I don't know nothing about cars, but I actually understand your problem and situation. You tell me what's going on and I'll put you with the best mechanic. Wouldn't that sound like a better offer?
Yeah, especially if he says, hey, I don't know about cars, but I'm a service provider that, work with a network of mechanics
Mm-hmm.
that, specialize in fixing whatever it is, transmissions or whatever. You're like, oh, okay. Like you
I'm
tell
gonna
me
get my issue
I can
solved.
come to you and I don't have to talk
Yeah.
to 50 other mechanics, to deal with them one at a time.
And I know that it's actually going to get done. I'm not just going to go to an auto body shop where you got one mechanic and he do this and do that. It's just common sense that if a person is specializes in an area, then you know you're going to get the best results. If a
Yeah.
person says, yeah, I do everything, then it's just like, okay. Same thing with real buyers. If we get buyers that, oh, I specially buy in this area, in this neighborhood, and I buy in this area all the time, then they know exactly what they can pay. But if a person's just general, they were like, man, I need a deep discount because I don't know if it's going to be this or that or this or that. And so when you can offer somebody that, and I will talk about what to say to the sellers because I do point it out as a benefit to them that we are a service provider, I'm not the buyer. The guy you're talking to on the phone, I'm not the buyer. I see him as service provider. I mean, we do buy properties, but you know, I let them know that up front. For the most part, I'm not the buyer. We work with a network of investors, and it's our job to get you the best offer that best fits your solution or what you got going on, and specialize in this or that. Because to Byron's original point, you assume that it's always about ugly houses, ugly houses, ugly houses. What if somebody has a nice house and is actually market ready, but they just have a crazy situation that's going on? Well, we got the buyer. We literally have a buyer, and I talked to them myself. I found this buyer because I was cold calling. I was like, no, we're not selling, but we are buying more. And the buyer, she said, we'll buy a property at market value or even above market value. And it doesn't have to cash flow for us immediately because we're looking for it in the long term benefits. So they're willing to pay, they're even willing to overpay for a trophy property in a perfect area that's their ideal area, they'll overpay for it because they understand that property they're investing for the long term, right?
Yeah.
We have that. But if you was just asking me to buy your property, it's like it's got to be in this box or I can't deal with it, and it's got
Yeah.
to be ugly, and I got to be flip it because I'm just trying to flip and I'm just looking for the next flip. Like, no, we can get you the best person for your property, for your solution. We can get it done.
Yeah. So yeah, man, I think like that approach alone, the idea that hey, look, I work with a network of investors, but it's like you got to build that network of investors. You know what I'm saying? That means you got to go out there and
Yeah.
talk to people who's buying properties, talk to people who's working with people who's buying properties, agents of these cash buyers, right? You got to go out and reach out to these people and talk to them. You got to talk to people who's doing deals, right? Because if you can connect with people who doing deals, your chances of doing the deals go way up. I got my first deal because I had been looking around, looking around, looking around, looking around. I didn't get my first deal until I connected with someone who was already doing deals, right? I connected to a cash buyer. When I connected to that cash buyer, he said, hey, what do you got? You got anything? And I'm like, nah, I don't really got anything. He was, and then I started thinking, it's like, yeah, some people who just want too much. And he was like, send me whatever you got. I sent him some stuff that I had, and he said, hey, what about this property? I think that might work. And I'm like, what? I had already talked to that person. I had already texted that person, and I was like, well, this is no deal. It's not good enough. It's not a deal. Why did I not know that that was a deal?
That's what I was just about to ask you. And I believe it's because you didn't know that someone would buy it because you didn't have the buyer. But what were you evaluating that deal on? What were you using a formula? What were you basing the quality of a deal on before you had buyers?
I don't know. I probably was using that form like 70K. I mean 70% minus rehab, all that other good stuff. I was rather using that right there and just looking at thinking, nah, this is not at a good enough discount. You know what I'm saying? It's like I just didn't think it was at a good enough discount, and I was looking at it like nobody's gonna buy this, right? But that buyer came along, and none of that stuff mattered. The ARV didn't matter. The MAO didn't matter. The rehab cost didn't matter. All the other SSTs and ITOs and all them other things that they want to create and say you got to calculate, none of that mattered. The only thing mattered is that the buyer said, hey, I'm interested in that property. I took him over there, let him see it. He said that he would pay. The seller was at 60. He said he would pay 64. Right? And I ended up talking him up to 66. So bam, that was the first one I got on the contract, and it actually closed. Right. That was the first deal I got on the contract, and it actually closed. Then in between that time, because it took 2 months to do that, in between that time, I found another one. Right. And I was able to identify, oh dang, this might be a deal. What I do, I brought the buyer to the property, let him see the property. He made an offer. Bam. That one closed quicker. Right. And that was a 30K. Boom. 30K. And then I turned around, closed that 6K deal. Boom. Next thing you know,
Yeah.
I'm sitting there with $36,000 in the bank. And I'm like, man, this is crazy.
But dude, this what I want to say is you said something perfect there. It wasn't until you got with the buyers because I heard y'all like to throw out these little principles that they keep you hear in the Jerry Norton video and the Max Maxwell video and this video. And again, Jerry Norton, I like them both. I like all those guys, but Jerry Norton, I really like Jerry Norton. I'm a big fan. But those little sayings, take this one to the bank. A property is worth what someone will pay for it. As a matter of fact, anything is worth what someone will pay for it. That's a principle that you can live by. Whether it's a piece of gum, whether it's a car, whether it's a house, whether it's a stock, whether it's a bottle of Germex, it's worth what someone will pay for it. And so if you know that, then there's no sort of calculations, there's no amount of comps and rehab costs and all of those things that we're saying. That won't matter if you don't know what someone will pay for it. And also, what trumps all of that, because what you're realizing, all of that stuff you talking about, the sellers are trying to hit you with that too. When often deep negotiation, they're talking, well, this and the house next door and the this and that and the this and that. Well, Mr. Seller, you listed your property a couple months ago and had to take it off the market. Nobody bought it. And so all of this stuff that you're talking about does not matter, Mr. Seller. It's worth what someone will pay for it. If you want to sell the house, that's ultimately what it's going to boil down to. What is somebody going to pay for it? And when you already know what somebody will pay for it, which a real true to life cash, but true to the game, cash buyer is going to pay for the property, then well, then you can subtract your fee from that, and that's a deal. That's where
Yep.
you need to be at. It's not 70%, because what if the buyers is buying at 80%?
Yep.
What if the buyers is buying at 60% or 50? So that 70%, dude, you don't know. That's a rule of thumb, but it's not a principle. I wouldn't say it's not a principle. A basic principle is a property is worth what somebody will pay for it. That's a principle,
Yep.
right? So take that to the bank. That's why we put a lot of heat and pressure on this concept of get the buyers first, is because ultimately you can do all the calculations and still be dead wrong, and it boxes you in, right? It boxes you in because you're trying to determine, it boxes you in on many levels. One, you're trying to determine if something's a deal, and you don't even know it's a deal or not because it don't fit that formula. And then when you do get to negotiating, you're negotiating based upon that formula. What if you could have got more?
Yeah.
You're trying to make it fit these numbers. What if you could have got more than what you thought because you were just sticking to the formula? But you don't realize the buyer might pay more than that little 70% thing that you're doing, but you don't know. And so don't do that. Just ultimately figure out what the buyers are paying, whatever. But, and you can find buyers and sellers at the same time. As a matter of fact, when you find buyers and start marketing for properties, you want to continue to find buyers. But I would say before you even start to market, before you even pull your first list, before you even decide a target area, then you need to know what the buyers want, period. Because most people, it is always a good idea, I think, to start in your hometown and find a
Mm-hmm.
property that's going to work there in your hometown, because you got the advantage of being able to show up in person, look at the property, what side of town is the good side and what side is the bad side. Those things. So you got a lot of advantage of just, without even thinking about it, that market more than you might realize. But what if that market, you could get your first deal in that market, but you can't do consistent because that market only does a certain amount of cash deals a year? You might need to be in a better place. And so when you talk to cash buyers, let them decide. They might say, dog, you in Shelbyville, Tennessee, that don't work. But if you go just 15 minutes over to Tullahoma, Tennessee, we buying like crazy. And
Yeah.
that's the only adjustment you have to make. But you gotta talk to the cash buyers to know that.
Yeah, you got to talk to the buyers, man. I think that's one of the biggest things that people miss out on. Not even just like the benefits of talking to buyers is even bigger than that. And we saying talk to buyers is not, you
Oh
don't want
yeah.
to be transactional, right? You want to build
Yeah.
relationships. Like this is a relationship business. You know, it's all about relationships and the relationships that you can build. Um, and like Cordero says a lot, it's like it's not just about who you know, it's about who knows you, right? You want to know that buyer, but you want that buyer to know you. You want to build that relationship to where that buyer is knowing you and you guys are talking to each other like human beings, right? It's not like a transaction. It's not like when you go to freaking McDonald's or Burger King and a person don't even look at you, right? They just take your money, hand your food, and then don't even say bye. You just ride away.
Or give you an attitude, even much worse. They talking to you like you less of a human being just because you there. You like, or just because they mad at their job. It's like,
Yeah.
dang, dude. It's just like, did I do something wrong to you? But it's just like, imagine if you go to a restaurant and you became a regular. They're like, oh, hey, Byron, what's going on? You want the usual? And you like,
Yeah.
dang, I feel like I'm at home.
Yeah.
Or even
Exactly.
Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A know how to do that before you ever, you feel like a regular the first time you go there. You like, dang.
But yeah, man. So it's like building that relationship is big. It's like that's why I've gotten where I've gotten just off relationships. You know what I'm saying? It's not just doing it this way allows you to build those relationships with cash buyers. Because if you just out here looking for sellers, looking for sellers, looking for sellers, you may find a seller and get one transaction out of that seller. Maybe they got two properties, you get two. Maybe they got seven properties and you get seven, right? But that's only seven. You can't stay in
That's
business
it.
off of seven properties, right? But if you can find somebody who is also running a business and they do a number of properties every single year, then now you have a consistent basically customer. You have a consistent customer. You basically building your customers, right? It's like, I just thought about it that way, but it's like you're literally building customers, right? And then you're gonna go get merchandise that the customers would like to buy. It's like, it's like it's really that simple, man. You build your
Dude,
customers, and then you bring merchandise that they said they want, and then you just sell it to
that's because that's how real business works. Like if you think about like, man, if you said, man, I wanted to start a company where let's say you making hats. You don't go find people who want to buy hats and be like, how much would you buy a hat for? If I can try to convince you to buy a hat for 35 that I could go to Walmart and get it for 25, then I got myself a $10 spread. No, if you want to build a real scalable, legitimate business, you go find a producer of the material that makes the hats, and
them.
you build a relationship with them to get a good, and then you go find a company that can manufacture the hats for you, and then a company that can send them for you. Maybe somebody who could do the drop shipping. You got to establish all of those actual business to business connections, and then you go find the customer um, at the market level. And like then you do that. But there's a couple of business to business relationships that you got to establish before you say, "Hey, I'm a business."
Yeah.
That's for fashion. That's for any company. It's just like you got to have that instead of just. As a matter of fact, I don't know why this is called reverse wholesaling because it's really not. You should call that the
The other
dog.
way.
You see what
You
I'm saying? It's like
understand,
go find the deal and then try to go see if you can find somebody to buy it. Does that not sound like backwards?
man.
That sounds like, or do you find some people who actually want to buy properties? It's like
Who actually
that's the
want
back.
to, who actually buying properties, who actually buy it as a business.
But I'm saying all businesses work like that. They establish themselves
Yeah.
at that level first. It's just like if I open up a restaurant, first I got to find a butcher for my meat. I got to find a manufacturer to get all of my products, my bread, my vegetables, my oil, my olive oils, my cooking supplies. I got to go find suppliers for these things, and then I go to the customers.
Yeah. You
But
don't go to the
people,
customer and say, hey, do you like to buy pizza?
yeah,
Okay, let me go get you one.
yeah, it's like you don't do that. That's and so essentially the way that they've been teaching people is the reverse way. And it's like, dude, let's be real. I think the only reason why it sounds like that, and to a lot of people it sounds appealing, is because they feel like, well, that's kind of big. That's like a big boy conversation. But I
Well, I
like what
think
you
that's the
mentioned
way it
though.
was taught. I think that's the primary way it was taught. So if you do it the opposite way, then it's the reverse of what's
No,
traditionally taught.
dude, it's wrong. It's incorrect. There, I know I'm saying I'm making a bold claim here when I say the way it's traditionally taught is the wrong way. It's the reverse
Hey,
way.
hey, that's pretty cool. Maybe we'll tell it's like, dude. So you telling me that these gurus are out here saying are teaching the wrong way to do this?
I would say so, but that's what I was saying when I was talking about. It's like what they're teaching you is how they got into it, and then they're teaching you how you could easily get into it. Because if you just reach out to sellers and do this, you could get lucky, and you don't have to actually talk to the buyers and actually grooming and up and building a relationship with the buyers first. That's a big boy conversation. You would think to get on the phone with a buyer, you need to have your own bread, you need to have your own business in play, you need to come to them with a deal, and you need to be talking business. It's like, no, you just need to be an individual who has the ability to build a relationship with somebody and articulate your vision to them, and to be
Hmm.
able to say, hey, listen, I don't have a deal. This is my plan. and this is what I intend to do. Could I get some deals over to you and you'd be willing to at least give me feedback on them? And if it's something that you're willing to buy, maybe we can put together something, and I can work out a fee from there, and we can move forward. But I can bring you deals because I know you're looking for deals anyway. Can I find you? That's where you need to build a business to business relationship with another individual or individuals who have their own business and say, hey, I'm trying to help you out.
Yeah.
But it's easier just to be a solo guy and just say, hey, just go find a deal or just find somebody in a poor situation and try to luck up. That's why they keep talking about it, because maybe that's the case. But I'm saying this is I'm not even going to say this is the easier way, because neither way is really easy. It just all entirely depends. You can get lucky, but I'm saying this is the guaranteed bulletproof way, and it's the real deal way. So it's just like, why do people um, I don't know. I just think that that's why, because I remember being there. It's just like the reason why people always advertise that way. Just find a deal, and the buyers, they skip. Notice how they skip over that part, the dispo part, and it's always something as simple. Just put it on Facebook Marketplace, and then there it is. It's just like, yeah, if you find yourself a home run deal, but then you got to understand that these are investors who invest constantly, and they know that they could do 10K, 10K, 15K, 20K on a deal, but they're telling you to find a deal that you can make $50,000 on for your first deal. They don't do that every deal. That's not even something that they're doing consistently. So it's just like, I think, I don't know really why that's the way that they preach and talk about all the time, but I think ultimately it's just like, that's the reverse model. This is the right way. That's the reverse way.
Hey, let's shout out to Winston, man, coming through. Shout out to Chanel. Chanel came through on IG, man. She was letting me know that she had I guess she called some more agents, man, and got in contact with some people that might be interested in buying. She didn't connect it. So man, she on. I think she on, man. So William
Chanel
Johnson,
doing it the
man.
forward way.
Oh yeah. Chanel doing it the
She's
right
doing it the forward way.
way.
Shout out
So
to
yeah,
Willie
man.
Johnson. Shout out to
Man,
Winston.
we got Keith on coming through, man. The big
Shout
dog,
out
the
to Chanel.
OG. OG. Keith on coming through on IG, man. But
Dog, I'm talking about the godfather of this thing, dog. Shout out to
yeah,
Keaton, man.
Godfather, man. But yeah, man. So it's just it amazed me just thinking about it. It's like, dude, it make perfect sense. Like, if I wanted to start a business to sell properties to investors, wouldn't I go talk to the investors, connect with them, figure out, okay, what are y'all buying, and then go bring them what they buy? It's like if I wanted to build a business, well, that's what you're doing the wholesaling. You're selling properties to investors. Like
Yeah.
that's what wholesalers do. They sell properties to investors. So we're saying, okay, go and find companies that are buying these properties, and then go and bring them the properties that they want to purchase. Like that's the biggest thing, man. I think that does make perfect sense. And we're gonna keep going and tell y'all like the benefits of finding these investors and working with them, and how that's gonna like your approach when you talk to sellers even changes from what people would traditionally tell you to tell sellers. So it's like that approach is going to change. So this, and I'm telling you, just do this, and this is 100% bulletproof. I'm willing to say it. It's 100%. It's bulletproof.
Oh, it's
You
bulletproof.
will get a deal.
Oh,
it's,
oh,
it's
that's what I mean. I don't necessarily know what we could say is the easier way. It just depends on you and what you feel comfortable with. You're gonna have to
it's
challenge
the
yourself one
easier
way or the
way.
other.
Let me
The
say it.
easier way,
I'm
dude.
going to make the claim. Listen, let me tell you why it's the easier way. It's the easiest way to build a wholesale business. It's the
But
easiest way. Let me tell you why it's the
let
easiest
me
way.
play devil's advocate.
Go ahead.
Let me play devil's advocate. For one, I actually got a couple questions. What if I'm terrified to talk to the buyers?
What if you're terrified
What
to
if
talk
I'm
to the buyer?
terrified? What if I'm terrified to talk to the buyers? And what do I say to the buyers if I don't have a deal? Won't I be wasting their time?
No, you wouldn't be wasting their time. Let me give you a little secret. Buyers want you. They want you on their team. Like, I'm a buyer and I talk to other buyers, and the biggest thing is, how do I get wholesalers to bring me good deals? Like, that's a question that they ask, and it's like, I want to find wholesalers that can bring me good deals. I need some people to bring me good deals. And if you, let's say hypothetically, Cordero is an agent, and somebody call him up and say, "Hey, Cordero, do you work with investors?" You know, and he says, "Yes, I work with investors," or "No, I don't work with investors." And you tell him, "Hey, look, man, I'm getting ready to put a lot of energy, a lot of my resources into finding this kind of properties, and I
Yeah.
like to bring them to you so you can, showcase them to these investors, so that you can work with your investors, close on these properties, and you can make commissions off of these properties." Is that something you'd
Yeah.
be interested in?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Well,
you're pitching people, you're pitching to help people make money. Like, when you're talking to these investors, you're saying, "Hey, look, you would you be interested in me bringing you more discounted properties that you could flip for a profit?"
yeah.
You
Well, let
you're
me,
pitching, "Hey, do you want me to help you make more money?" It's like, how do I, like, can I send you these properties so you can make more money?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you're pitching that like that's an easy pitch. Like, it's way easier to talk to someone who's actually doing business, who actually wants what you have, or what you're gonna have. Like, they want the discounted properties. Like, you telling me that's harder than talking to thousands of sellers, which thousands of them are gonna not want to hear what you got to say. They have you. Do you think anybody probably? What do you think the percentage of people uh, on percentages? What percentage of people get cussed out by buyers?
Dog, that. I didn't think that was the question you was gonna ask me
On
because it's
percentage.
like it depends on how good you are on these phones though. Like
No, no,
talking
no, no,
to.
no, 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 no. I'm just saying, in general, good, bad, whatever.
Oh,
How
you
many
just mean have been
wholesalers,
cussed out?
because they called a buyer and said, "Hey, can I bring you some discounted properties?" How many
Yeah,
buyers you
dog.
think cussed them out after that?
Wait, are you asking how many? Like, because I've been cussed out before. I would imagine that if you market to people, period, for any business, you're gonna get cussed out by the mainstream seller, like the market seller,
The
right? Like
buyers.
the
No, no, no. Buyers. If you're
how many
calling
people?
agents, if you're calling agents and you
Mhm.
calling actual cash buyers,
Yeah,
how many people you think, on what percentage do you think people would get cussed out? If I called 100 agents, how many gonna cuss me out?
it's gonna be one out of 100. You're gonna get two people that might cuss you out.
If
And
I
I
called
know,
a if I called 100 sellers and they actually picked up the phone,
yeah.
how many of those people are gonna say something crazy to me
How many just say something crazy? 20 to
or
30.
cuss you out or whatever?
20 to 30.
That's what I'm
Straight
saying.
out, straight out, a good cussing, you're gonna get about 15 to 20. A good solid cussing, you're gonna get 15 to 20. But this is what I'm saying though. And I'm because I'm speaking from a perspective of an individual who was terrified to talk to the buyers, but everybody around me was terrified to talk to the buyers. We was all comfortable with just finding the deals, getting cussed out by sellers because the information on YouTube is we got 1,000. How many videos on YouTube do you think is saying how to talk to sellers versus videos on YouTube about how to talk to buyers? It's like 1,000 videos to talk to sellers, maybe a couple videos on how to talk to buyers. So we not prepared. We don't feel prepared. So when you go into it, it was just like my or I don't obviously I don't think like that then, but I remember we was thinking just like, well, playing devil's advocate, what do you say to somebody who says, well, that the cash buyer, that's the millionaire dude who does a lot of investments. And you get on him on the phone, and he's like, he can see that you knew, and his only thing is to like intimidate you and beat you up on the price. And he's trying to like, well, man, how many deals have you done? Yes, bring me a deal, man. Listen, I do 100 deals a day, and I'm a bazillionaire, and I'm Jeff Bezos in the real estate world in your city. And so Is it easier to talk to Mr. Jeff Bezos of the real estate world in my city than it is to just talk to 1,000 cash buyers? Well, is it easier to talk to the millionaire? Just in general, if you had to get one on the phone, is it easier for dog? Is it easier for a brand new? Okay, Chris from last night, Chris Bird, my guy. Shout out to Chris, man. I gotta send you. I'm gonna send him over some stuff. But Chris, would it be easier for 21-year-old Chris or 21-year-old 22-year-old Chris or 21-year-old Cordero to talk to a millionaire who? Because every buyer isn't looking for a wholesaler. Everybody isn't just like, man, I'm looking for more deals. Some of them is jerks. Is it easier to talk to them, or is it easy to get cussed out by 100 sellers?
I think there's more seller jerks than buyer jerks.
Yeah, but again, it's like I'm more prepared for it though. It's like I'm
Yeah,
more
no
prepared.
doubt, no doubt. But what I'm saying is, it's the like you said, it's just the wrong approach.
That's why.
You have
That's
no
yeah.
approach. It's like most people, they have no approach because you're taught to be the buyer. It's like,
Exactly.
it's like you're
Exactly.
taught to be the
Exactly.
buyer. It's like, so you have no approach. It's like, if you actually got an approach where you're saying, hey, look, I'm finna put my resources, I'm finna put my energy into finding properties
Yeah.
that I could bring to you that you could flip or rent out to make a profit.
Yes, sir.
Would you be interested in me bringing you some discounted properties that fit what you're looking for? And if somebody don't want it, they just, if they gonna say something crazy about that, they're probably just a bad human being, and you don't want to do business with them anyways. So
Exactly. Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
in that case, you just move on. But with sellers, what do? We have to force them. We have to force ourselves to work with terrible human beings, right? You like with buyers, you just move on. The next buyer, the next buyer, the next buyer, the next buyer, the next buyer. You're so desperate to get a seller that you would work with bad human beings just to get a deal done. Like with buyers, it's like you move on to the next buyer, you go, you find you a buyer that's actually interested. And you're not gonna like, dude, how many buyers do you think Chanel had to call? How many agents you think Chanel had to call before she got one that was actually interested in working with her and said, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah, send me what you got." And oh, I got investors. They'll buy this. And how many agents or buyers do you think she had to call?
I don't know, man. I can tell you the ratio of X amount of buyers to finding the right one versus X amount of sellers to finding the right one. The ratio is a lot better for the
Off the
buyers. It's just
chart.
like you might have to call 20 buyers to find the right one, or you call 20 agents to find the right one. For sellers, bro, you might have to call 1,000. And I'm dead serious. You know what I mean? And then like just you to get a lead, honestly, you might have to call like 500 people, sellers, to get a lead. And then again, it's a funnel too, because with the buyers, you might find some, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, man, I had a great conversation. And I don't know where that guy is at to this day. A couple years later, I don't know where that guy is at. But out of that though, you will still find some ones that are heavy hitters ready to go. And they're out there. Like Byron said, the people who need you, that's what you fail to realize about it. When you're so intimidated on that other side, like, man, what if I call the buyers? Is you're forgetting that there's somebody who literally needs you. And it's a symbiotic relationship, I believe is the term. It's like it's a work both ways sort of relationship. Yeah, you'll be able to get that's a stream of income. You find the right buyer, then you right business to business relationship. You found another stream of income because they buy these type of properties in this area.
But check this out. You didn't
Yeah,
just find a stream of income. They found a stream of income.
yeah, exactly. They both just
Whoa, that's
found.
a two-way street, man.
That's what I'm saying, because you reached out and you called and you got rejected a couple of times. That's all you had to do. And now you just made both of y'all so much more money. And so that's what I think I wasn't realizing in the beginning. But I was just like, man, dude, it's a lot of people out here talking about. And I guarantee you, if you're scared to talk to buyers, it's because you watch a lot of YouTube University. In the YouTube University, you can find a million videos on talk to sellers, find a deal and calculate a deal, 70% of ARV minus rehab. And Nothing about talking to buyers. Literally nothing about the dispo. They're just like, well, then here's how you find the dispo. You just put it on the Facebook, and then I just kind of stumbled my way through the dispo, and then that was that. Stop.
Yeah.
You're just go. You're like, yeah, you can get a deal. Yeah, you can hit the lottery. Yeah, you can be Charlie Bucket eating cabbage soup one day and water, no seasoning. And then you walk down the street and you find $1 in the gutter and you find the golden ticket the next moment. Yeah, you can do that. But what about the girl, was it Veruca Salt, who had her daddy just mass producing? He peeling chocolate bars,
Yeah.
peeling chocolate bars, peeling chocolate. He was guaranteed because he had the volume and the scalability because he was willing to do what everybody else wouldn't do or just felt like they couldn't do. But you can do this because it's not amount of money that you have to spend to do this. It's not a dollar amount that you need to have. Don't tell me you can't afford to call buyers. It's a simply amount of how many times you're willing to take action, pick up that phone, call a buyer, and if you get rejected, call another one. If you find one who's a heavy hitter, who's buying a lot of deals, but they're a jerk, hang up the phone and call another one. There is
Yep.
zero when it if every level, if every phone call was $1, we're all bajillionaires. There's not a
Yeah.
limit to amount of calls that we can take, with the exception of time. Time caps us all. We ain't got unlimited amount of time, but it's like there's nobody saying, "Well, you called too many buyers. You can't keep calling until you found the right one." There's no regulations on that. And then again, like you let if you call one and you let the tone that you get from that first few people determine what it means to call buyers, then you are first of all, you're not doing it right. Then you are letting them determine stop you from getting to that person that needs you. That one buyer that's like, dude, I can make you a lot of money and you can make me a lot of money, but you got to be strong enough to break through. It's a level of resistance. If you noticed yesterday, and I was thinking about this a lot when we was doing a practice call with Chris, what Chris was trying to explain is that the reason why his approach to the calls was that way is because he had got hung up on before from cold calling because he was like, hey, are you interested in selling your property? And somebody hung up on him. That means he called some people and he tried that approach and he got hung up. So he changed his approach to help him get his foot in the door to help people stay on the call and not hang up on him. But if your only goal is to make sure people don't hang up on you, then that's what you'll get. But if your goal is to close a deal, then that's what you'll get. And in order to close a deal, you have to stay consistent, or excuse me, in order to build a business, you have to stay consistent and not be perturbed, I think is the term, and not be warped by all of the stuff that you got to deal with, all of the rejection, all of the. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I heard Byron call us a real estate agent so we could dispo a deal, and just for no reason at all, the real estate agent talking as if she worked for Chick-fil-A and Byron, oh, excuse me, as if she worked for Popeyes. And Byron came up there and asked for an extra sauce packet or something like that. Y'all know, y'all know if you ask for an extra sauce packet at Popeyes, you liable to get
Hey,
stabbed.
say ask for somebody to go out their way. This
Man, man, this is the wrong order. I used to work at Popeyes in high school, dude, and they was really like that. They was
Yeah,
like that to me. I was like, ma'am, I think I'll go to the manager, like the customer said, why you ain't just, I'm sorry. The manager, and it's all stuff start like that from the top down. I don't know who the CEO of Popeyes is, but it must be somebody with a bad attitude, dude, because
but
it's all come from,
that brings up another good point. It's like connect with your buyers first, and you're gonna determine for the most part what kind of people you're working with.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah,
gonna
yeah,
determine for the most
yeah,
part.
yeah,
You
yeah,
ain't gotta go out here and surf the Facebook world to deal with idiots. It's like
yeah,
you can
yeah,
pretty much determine like I'm gonna work with good people. Like I've been working with good people. My experience has been good because I determine who I'm working with. Like
yeah,
I've called and I've connected with people that I felt good working with, and I have to deal with clowns because I connected with the buyers I wanted to work with. And then at that point, now I could target a number the type of sellers that they want. You know what I'm saying? And because of that, anytime a seller's interested in selling, I know I got buyers that's ready to buy, right? I know I got buyers that's ready to buy, which makes the whole process that much more easier, which makes it easier to put people under contract, right? Especially as a beginner. And I always say this, like, yeah, Cordero could go out here and find a random deal and then figure out, if it's a good deal, and he could put it on the contract and he can go find a buyer, right? But Cordero's been doing this a zillion times, right? But what about the person who hasn't done it? If you're connected with buyers, if you're connected with agents, they can help walk you through things that you don't know. They can help you get down the road, to a deal because
Yeah.
they know the process, right? When you don't know the process, you need somebody to help you with this. And they can be the ones that kind of give you some guidance. Like, I think on my first deal, the buyer actually wrote up the assignment. I didn't write up the assignment. They wrote
Yeah.
up the assignment. It's like, I don't know if now that I think about it, it's like since then, I never heard of a buyer writing up an assignment. Like, they
Yeah. I
wrote
don't
the
know if I
assignment
heard
for
that.
me and I signed it. It's like
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
wrote how much they was gonna pay on the fee, and then I signed it. It's like they sent it to me. It's like they
Yeah.
wrote
That's
the
not
assignment.
normal.
You know what
At the very least, that's not normal for
I'm
sure. Now, that's not what usually happens. But I think that's a really good point because, and that's what I'm saying is like, if you find, if you go to them with that approach, hey, I'm new, I'm just trying to find deals, I just need to know what you're looking for, and I'll go look for them for you. And that's, if you go to them with that approach and they're willing to help you, that says a lot about them and about their
Boom.
character. That's the person that you want. And if you get a person that cuss you out, you take that rejection and say, "Oh, me, I'm not good enough." When you don't realize, no, that
They
person is
not
just a
good enough.
terrible person.
Yep.
It's them. They just disqualify. And that's what I was trying to explain yesterday because you do the same thing with sellers. Your job isn't to try to make the seller stay on the phone and deal with you. If you reach out to somebody and say, hey, I'll just call and see if you were interested, and you go through the intro and they say, just want to know if you were thinking of selling your property at this time, and they hang up on you, that doesn't mean something was wrong with you or with your approach. That means that person just wasn't interested. So they disqualified themselves. And that means that's not the person that you want to talk to. But if your whole goal is just to try to make everybody you talk to stay on the phone for longer, then you're going to deal with a lot of people that you don't actually want to deal with, or probably would be wasting your time with. And so it's not about changing your approach. Find an approach that works, which we're giving it to you, and use it until you find the right thing. Because that's the thing. You think that you're trying to take your ratio of the amount of people I talk to the amount of deals. It's like, no, dude, it's just a numbers game. You do have to talk to a lot of people. You have to talk to a lot of people. And so before you find the right one, you got to talk to a lot of buyers before you find the right one that's willing to help you out, that understands your situation and realizes and sees the opportunity that, okay, I mean, no harm, no foul. I can help you out and you can help me out. And that's a good person, dude. And you can do a lot of business with that person. And likewise with the seller, you're not trying to get the jerks to stay on the phone with you. You're trying to weed the jerks out. You see what I'm saying? It's like you're not trying to deal with the wrong people. You're trying to set up your own standard and then take it to the marketplace and put it out there in a way that's consistent enough that says this is the type of people that we want, right?
Yeah. No
And
doubt.
so the same thing, it's like if Chick-fil-A opened up a new Chick-fil-A restaurant, they wouldn't be like, all right, we're gonna hire the people that work at Popeyes, the type
It's
of
like,
people that will make it, because it's hard to find good people. No, they're not gonna lower their standard just so they can get people in the door. No, we
yeah.
have a standard and it stays. And if we got to interview 100 times more people, then that's what we'll do because we know that's a part of our entire business model. See what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. And like looking back at it now, it's like I connected with good people, and those good people who treat people right,
Yeah.
they usually stay in business. Those people that I connected with at the beginning, they were doing business, they were treating people right, and they're still in business.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
And we
big thing.
built that working relationship. They're still buying houses. I'm still selling them houses. They stay in business. I stay in business. It's like,
Dude.
dude. And then as our relationship grow, I get closer to them. They start rubbing off on me. I start learning from them. They keep learning from me. It's a real relationship, man. And I'm able to jump to different levels because I'm learning from them. I'm building
Yeah.
relationships. And these cash buyers, like Cordero said, they're what? Millionaires.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
putting
Yeah.
yourself around, you're building relationships with
Millionaire.
millionaires. They're telling you stuff and they're getting in these conversations and they're telling you what millionaires do. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I was talking to one this morning, just call her because it was like, I'm just gonna call her, see how she doing, just calling them up. They talking about, I was telling them how I went to school and gave out chicken biscuits and gift cards, stuff like that. And they was like, yeah, I donate, to the local schools. I donate $2,000 to this school, $2,000 to that school, $2,000 to high school, $2,000 to middle school, $1,000 to elementary school. I give this much money to, this year and that much. It's like they do that stuff. Like that,
Yeah.
it's like that's the kind of stuff that it's like you get into conversations with people that's like this next level conversations, man. It's like when you get into those next level conversations, that level you up. You know what I'm saying? It's like that's why you want to build that relationships with those people. What I'm saying. That's why you want to build those relationships. Like you want to build relationships with cash buyers for multiple reasons. Like all the benefits. It's all the benefits. Most
Yeah.
people think cash buyers just transactional, just transactional, just transactional. Like those people bring a lot of benefits, right? A
Yeah.
lot of benefits.
Absolutely. And crazy that you pointed that out because I was telling somebody this and I was just like, hey, you in a different industry or whatever. And I was just like, well, regardless of what industry, I think if you say you want to be a high level performer in your industry, both monetarily and just sheer the amount of value that you provide in your industry, then you need to get around the high level performers. You say you want to be a millionaire, then go meet a millionaire and just look at the difference between the way they think. And I think a lot of people want to stay the same. I want to be able to hang around the people that I hang around and do the same things that I do. And I don't want to be introduced to new concepts. I just want to wholesale deals. I just want to become a wholesaler and I want to be like Max Maxwell and I want to make all of this money, but I want to be the same person. No,
It
I'm
don't work like
I'm
that.
cut. That's off the table, dog. You just can't. And honestly, if it was possible, I wouldn't. I'm not just saying no, you can't do that just because that's just off the table, man. It's off the table. You can't do that. You can't get different and be the same. You're not going to be able to get something else by being the same person. No more than you can open up that you can drive a new car with your same car keys. You got a Ford Taurus or 2008 Honda, and ain't nothing wrong with a 2008 Honda. But you're
Yeah,
not gonna take that
'cause I
2008
had
Honda.
my 2008 Honda, man, drove that joker to the wheels fell. I drove that mug to the engine stop.
Hey. I had my '97 Buick LeSabre. I literally drove it till the wheels came off, bro. That was why I couldn't drive it no more. Literally, the rotor was not work. It was done for. It was done. Steve. I drove it from New Hampshire all the way down to Tennessee when I came back, but I couldn't take that '97 Buick LeSabre key and hop in an SRT and turn it on. So it's just like if you want to get in a new car, you're gonna got to get new keys for it, and you're gonna have to drive different, think different, move different. You cannot be the same. And so when you get around these people, yeah, there's other immeasurable. That's what I call you can't measure these. You can't count. You can count how many deals and how much money you make, but you can't count the way that they have expanded your mind. You can't measure that, but they will because now I remember I met this one cash buyer. He was like, "Man, let's go grab something to eat." And so I met him at this Mexican restaurant. We sat down, we got something to eat, and he was talking to me about some stuff that I just could not wrap my mind around. Unfortunately, it was a bad thing, but even seeing how he handled it was crazy. He was talking about how he uh, he was going through a divorce, and his wife at the time would like had spent so much time with him. She had got smart, so she was trying to take like all of his money, like all of his money. And so he was just like, he had to buy the most expensive lawyers and attorneys, and he had to do this and he had to do that. He had to make this move. And so he was able to get out of it. And she did, I think he said he was able to walk away and just only give her like $50,000. No, I think only give her like $200,000. And he was talking about, he was like, I just saved myself millions. I think no, he said he spent 500 on lawyer on attorneys, 500,000 on attorneys, and he only had to settle with her for 200,000, and he saved himself millions of dollars. And that's obviously divorce ain't a happy thing or a happy situation, but I'm just thinking like, dog, I, what you talking about 500,000, 200,000, millions? I'm like, dude, I'm trying to make my first $100,000 month. Dude, I'm trying to make my first 100,000. You talking about all of that money, but it's just like they think different. But they've also put me on just the way that they pick up on a decision and then they execute on it. Like the speed at which they execute is totally different. You know what I mean? They get a new idea and then, they'll go, they
Yeah.
go, I'm talking about lickety split to the new idea. And like little stuff like that is just like, those are immeasurables. And you cannot hang around your homeboys from high school that's still working at the factory and think that I'm going to pick up on wholesaling in this new model. And you have to be willing to expand your mind and grow because I'm only talking to the people who actually made up their mind that they're going to do this and they actually want to do this. And that's that. Not, I want to do this, but if I got to grow, if I got to do something new or pick up on a new idea, I don't want to do it. Or I got to do this, but when it get hard, it get tough and it gets challenging, or if I have a dark moment, I'm not going to be able to push through that. You get around the right people, they'll give you the fuel that you need to make it through the tough times because they got the right mind. How you make it through is the right mindset, the right people, the right energy, the right actions that you got to take. You ever been, we done all been in a place in our life where they say, you got to make your next move the best move, right? And so,
No doubt.
for sure, it's just like you get around the people, it's just, you get around the right people, they will bring you into the right mindset, the right state of being that you need to be in to get what you're looking for, to be the person that you're looking for, right? And so that's the immeasurable values of getting these cash buyers, man.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So, man, we've been on this thing for over an hour, man, breaking it down, man. We gave it to y'all on a Friday, and
Yeah,
man, dude, there was some stuff that was brought up today. It's like I ain't even thinking about that. Like I'm thinking
yeah,
about, like, dude, the longevity of it. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. Like it's easier this way because I mean it allows for longevity. It's like the longevity of it. You find the buyers that are good buyers that's good people. It's gonna have the longevity. It's gonna help your longevity. You know what I'm saying? It's like
yeah,
I've had buyers help me out on a lot of different deals. Just bought the deal because it's like, dang, I know you need to do business. You know what I'm saying? At some point, like the buyers, you build that relationship, well, y'all become a band. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like, man, I'm gonna make sure I help you out. I'm gonna make sure that you know what I'm saying? We gotta stick together. It's like Dave comes to a point where it's like, man, we gonna stick together. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And I've helped buyers out. They've helped me out. I've given away a lot of money to buyers. And
yeah,
same
dude.
thing, buyers have helped me out on deals, helped me connect. They've helped me, do a lot of different stuff. So I'm telling you, man, it's crazy how much better the reverse wholesale, which Cordero say is just the wholesale, is different.
Dude,
What you're learning off YouTube with the gurus and the
because dude, it's like this is the real, bro. Think about it. It's the real business model. Any other business model, whether it's drop ship, whether it's actually dealing with anything, is like you got to do some stuff first before you just go out there talking to people trying to get their house at a price and say you sell it. Do you think so? This is the way being truthful and honest is the reverse of lying to people, telling you to buyer. No,
yeah.
it's not. But I want to say one quick thing though, because you brought up a good point. Is like before I got in this business, I had always wanted to go in real estate, and not always, but I made up my mind at some point that I wanted to go into real estate, and I realized I was just like something I heard once that it's about being ethical, that it's about the good people And the people who do by what right by others and provide value, those are the people who last, and those are the people who make it in this business. And I believe that, and I stay, and the people who keep their word and they stay true to that, and and you could be held to your word. I believe that. But when I got in this business, I realized a lot of people will say that, they'll even say that, but they won't keep their word. They won't be honest. And a lot of even buyers, even some professional people. I know some of y'all are like, well, what if I send a buyer out and they snake me on the deal and they take my deal? It's like, people, there are snakes in the business, but still the people who last, the people who do well, the people who continue to elevate and have longevity in the business are ethical. They're highly ethical, and they highly prioritize doing the right thing by people and providing value. So don't let, even if somebody at some point snake you on the deal, because I done been snaked on the deal before, whatever. It's like, don't let them think, man, yeah, all right, well, that's the game we playing. It's backstabbing and lying to people. Don't think that that's the way you do this business and gonna last, and you're gonna be able to make something out yourself, dude. You need to be okay. You need to just be real with yourself and be able to look yourself in the mirror and just say, all right, I know I'm doing the right thing because I know I'm doing the right thing. But ultimately, it's about the longevity. Anything you should be doing is about the longevity. So yeah, be honest. Always be ethical.
No doubt, man. No doubt. Big bars from King Cordero. Big bars. So,
Yes, sir.
but man, we about to get out of this thing, man. Checking off for the week. We're gonna be back Monday, heavy hitting mindset Monday, man. I think we got some crazy stuff coming for y'all Monday, man. We was
Yeah.
talking about some stuff before this call. Like, dude, we about to go heavy on Monday, man. We gonna
Yeah.
show no to you. But man, if you didn't check out the live we did, what we did at live late, that was the day before yesterday or yesterday?
The day before yesterday and yesterday, both
Oh
was some pretty
yeah,
solid lives,
dude,
I think.
pretty solid. The day before yesterday, that was really solid. Like, dude, we went all the way down to the detail of, man. It's some people, dude. I'm telling you,
Yeah, it's the
you
nitty gritty.
man, you could charge some. You could take that live right there, put yourself something together, and go make you some money teaching people how to do
Yeah,
that right
go wholesale that
there.
live. It didn't be the
Yeah,
same. Now that you just mentioned that, dude, that be the same dudes that think you're supposed to do that. Go act like you the buyer. They get one deal and then be like, now I'm about to start putting together courses because they got this whole backwards mindset about how business should go and providing value should go. So
yeah.
there's no wonder they be like, man, I guess I could put together a course now. And people be paying for their course and acting like gurus are the problem and coaching is the problem. No, it's bad coaching and it's not vetting people out and people who ain't true. It's like, dude, I've been doing this for a long time. I got people who literally like put a gun to my head. But I was like, Byron, man, you know what I'm saying? I'll start this whole video stuff, YouTube, internet stuff tomorrow. Byron was like, there is no tomorrow. There
Yeah.
is no tomorrow, Rock. But I was like, dang, it's like, because I've been doing it for so long and I wanted to make sure I'm giving real value. But these dudes is fake, man. Some people. And I'm not talking about the big dogs. I'm talking about the little dudes who do two deals and be like, man, I wrote a book. Keg my book.
Yeah.
What? What are you
Yeah.
doing? Stop it. So if y'all want
No,
to go wholesale that video that we did, man, go check it out and go wholesale it, man.
dude, it's the real deal, man. I gotta go watch that video again. I'm like,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
bulletproof, dude. My God. But anyways, man. Mm. Anyways, we're gonna be back Monday, man, giving y'all some more. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, all the other good stuff. Go check Cordero out on IG. He about to be dropping some crazy stuff on how you could talk to sellers, man. Go check out his cold calling on his channel, Cordero Martin 615 on IG. He finna be dropping some videos, so y'all go check it out here. I'm telling you, man, killer on the phone.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
killer. So go check him out, man. But until Monday, man, y'all check out my videos over the weekend. I'll be dropping them. But peace out.